The Bible. Is it hard to understand?
When it comes to reading the Bible, the first thing that comes to mind is the fact that this is the Word of God.
The seals have been broken, and the truth is here.
And when we go throughout the scriptures, when we go throughout extra biblical records, we find that the language that God employed, that He used to create the heavens and the earth, was the Hebrew language.
Christ said, I came for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. But yet no one, no religious leader, no religious church out there anywhere can now identify the 12 tribes of Israel. Can we? God is quite simple, but it seems as if man makes understanding Him hard.
What are those mysteries?
The truth of your book and the truth will make you free. The Hebrew and Bible Academy. You're invited. Come on in.
The East is where we're from. The 12 tribes of Israel.
Shalom, brothers and sisters. Come on in. Hit that like button.
721 BC.
Come on.
The Assyrian king, he took us down, we fell. With a great escape, we went through the Euphrates.
Shalom, shalom.
The Lord held the water still. To a land where no mankind dwelt, we went.
12 tribes.
The 12 tribes of Israel. That's who we be, we be. Manasseh, the Cubans, Ephraim from Puerto Rico, Naphtali from the Isles of Hawaii. The Lord is calling back Israel. Zebulun from Panama, Gad, the North American Indians.
Come on in.
Simeon, the Dominicans, our highest gathering Israel. The Arabs and Africans told us.
At gunpoint.
Together our wives and children then sold us.
Blessings, blessings.
In the belly of these great ships we traveled in fear. By the rivers of Babylon we found our brothers here. A high gather us in Colombia. Reuben from Australia.
That's right. Reuben from Australia. Yeah, and we have Naphtali from the Isles of Hawaii and the Fiji Islands, the lost tribes of Israel. And I have books to prove what I'm telling you here. Shalom, brothers and sisters. I'm Elder Ricard Shiar of the Gathering of Christ Church, here live with our weekly broadcast, podcast, whatever you would like to call it. Today we have a timely lesson, and I hope through the Spirit of the Most High, you are enlightened, and more so than anything, that through this truth, through this church, we began to understand our purpose and do so under the God of Israel who sent Christ for the sins of our nation. Brothers and sisters, hit the like button, please. Please hit the like button. We're under a shadow ban, and they're doing everything possible to keep this information from you, okay? Jumping right in. For those who don't know, this is the Gathering of Christ Church, okay? Now, of course, we are Hebrews, all right? We know beyond any shadow of a doubt that the people who were brought here in cargo slave ships are in fact and were in fact from the lost tribes of Israel, all right? Don't let them try to, I'm speaking of those who claim they are the authority, try to make you believe there's some small segment called Igbo in Africa, and that's where the only Hebrews are, okay? Okay, we ran into Africa in 70 AD, running from persecution and slavery, and had strongholds in Africa many years before the fall of Jerusalem. The disciples set up churches in Africa, okay? And the West African kings are from the tribe of Judah. We are descendants from that tribe, and that's right. Eventually, slave ships went down according to history, and only the Bible can give us insight of that history concerning what people were brought over in cargo slave ships. And that's an introduction to all of you. Whether you be new or, whether or not you knew this information already or have heard it for the first time. But I know when people hear that, automatically their programming kicks in. Their programming kicks in and say, well, okay, yeah, I'm going to automatically relate these prophecies, which are true, to some crazy people on the corner cursing out people and are racist. That's the surface argument they like to keep the simple on. They would like to keep the simple into just dealing with understanding Israelites from that base level, okay? No, we're not racist. Okay, we don't hate other people. Now, I can't speak to your personal experience about what you've individually ran into on a normal basis, but guess what? That has nothing to do with the gospel, that have nothing to do with Christ. There were many Israelites who understood Christ's doctrine to teach all nations before the end, and we so happen to be one of those. We deal with Christ's doctrine. Everything about the history of Hebrews are true. And what people ignorantly do out there is throw out the baby with the bathwater. You take your personal, anecdotal experience and you try to say, well, I interacted with racist Israelites to curse me out, so that's what all Israelites believe. Shame on you. Okay? And we're not going to jump through hoops to have you believe otherwise. It's up to you to do what? Try the Spirit as the Bible said, and not deal with things from your personal experience. And we're the only people who really deal like this. Generally, there's other races of people who deal like that also, who say they'll automatically say, okay, Israelites, racist, because that's how the media program you, or you had an experience with some bad people. All right? But I'm not going to believe that every white person walking around is a card-carrying member of the KKK. And if I did so, you would do what? You would say that that's a disingenuous way of labeling someone that you haven't had personal experiences with. And that's what happens when you begin to label all Israelites under a dark connotation. All right? So I wanted to put that out there. We believe in Christ. We don't believe in hating other people. And we also understand that racism is a tool used by the enemy to keep what? Logical, progressive thinking people on the righteous side from coming together. All right? Now, there's so much I want to talk about today. You see the title, The Silent War Against the People. A silent war against the people. What can we do? What can we do? Do our people actually understand that we're in a war? Those that are living today. Do you know that you're in the war? Do you know who's waging the war against you? Right? And that's why I labeled this the silent war. Because when you think of war, you think of Russia, Ukraine. Well, I take that back. I never seen a war before where where at the same time they claim things are going on, the majority of people are hanging out at beaches. But I digress. You think of Vietnam, people legs being blown off, Desert Storm, wars on invading other countries, right? But no, Satan waged war on every level, and we take the time to go into the Bible to have you understand prophetically what real war looks like. And that's right, Yolanda, you hit the head on the nail. Spiritual warfare. Spiritual warfare. And I want to go into that today, all right? There's so many things happening. The fires in Maui, Hawaii, Naphtali is our people. When you look in Genesis 49, when it talks about Naphtali, is like a roe, is like a hind let loose. That's right. They're free people who love the land and the God they served before turning to paganism, right? But also it tells us that in Deuteronomy 33 that Naphtali gives goodly words, and it links to the goodly words that we have in Genesis 49. The goodly words when you land on their soil. That's right. They'll greet you with that lay and put it around your neck and say, aloha. Well, their language is a variation of Hebrew if you did the research. And what's going on is tragic in Maui right now. And I'm going to cover that. I'm going to cover that and more in this broadcast. I'm going to open it up for you all to call in to give your own perspectives. All right? Now, before I do that, I would be amiss if I didn't let you all understand and know that, yes, we are in the Hebrew and Bible Academy going into the last couple of weeks. That's right. We're going into the last couple of weeks, week 9, starting this coming Sunday. All right? This coming Sunday, we'll be talking about what? Modern day Christianity. And I have record from books, all right, that I'm going to go over concerning Christ's crucifixion and Christ's last trial. That's right. We believe in Christ, not the white Cesar Borgia. He was a criminal. We're not talking about the guy who came thousands of years and was propped up as Jesus Christ, the white image you see plastered in the Western world. Okay, that was a criminal by the name of Cesar Borgia. Okay, and I'm not racist to say that outright Christ was a black man and everyone knew it. We're being hung today like he was hung back then. All right, so we're not going to deal with that argument. That argument, you'll lose that argument all day when it comes to, well, it doesn't matter what color. If it didn't matter, you shouldn't have put a white man up to be Christ. The only time it doesn't matter is when we begin to bring the true information concerning the Savior of the world, who so happened to have been a black man. Okay? So I'm not racist for saying that. You're racist for putting up a white image. And this is why there's conflict today, because no one wants to tell the truth. Okay? So I digress from that. But all in all, speaking of Christ, Christ spoke of these times, and I'm going to talk about that today. And yes, Christ was a black man. Let me say it again. All right? Someone asked, have I ever seen Christ? See, Bloomquist, we're not going to block you. We're not going to block you, okay? And we're not going to argue with you. And Dale, please, do not delete Bloomquist, okay, interesting name. Do not delete or block him. Because when they wage in spiritual warfare, we cannot pretend like these elements doesn't exist as if we're running away from what? Opposition or contrary thought. Do not block them. Let Bloomquist speak. Elder Dale, let him speak. Have I ever seen Christ? Oh yeah, I seen the Christ that you all propagated, the white man by the name of Cesar Borgia. I seen him. Okay? But outside of that lie, the Bible gives us Christ's description. And if you want to know how Christ looked, that's right. Look at his people. You're staring at them. We're the children of Israel from the tribe of Judah. He's our ancestor. So if you've seen our ancestors, that's right. You're looking at those ancestors, the children of Israel. You're looking at Christ's people, not strictly through what? Religion, but through blood. That's like me asking you, have you seen your great-great-great-grandfather? And then create an environment in which we're arguing, where you're trying to state or prove that your great-great-grandfather looked like you. or your uncles look like you. I suppose they look like you. That's no argument. I surmise they're white just like you. See? So that's how I handle Bloomquist. Yes, we've seen Christ because he's our people. You've seen us. You've seen these people in America who've suffered, black people. That's right. You've seen Christ. Okay? He's in us and we're in him. Okay? Now let's go. Let's do this. Let's do this. Please, please. Dale, let's not block the trolls. It's time to start handling these satanic troglodytes head on. Satanic evil trolls right on. And guess what? Today I have time. Right? Today we have time. All right? Hold on. Let's go into it. Yeah. Okay, yeah. I wanted to say that for those who don't know what a troglodyte is, some of these people out here who are willfully ignorant, seeking to be have some level of staying under a facetious veil to actually divert the conversation. Yet I digress. Right? Let's talk about it. It's 7:00 on the nose. We're going into the academy. What are we going to talk about in Christ? Well, this Sunday, when we go into crisis, we're going to be going into crisis trial. Okay? There's been questions about whether or not Christ had a father. Well, one of the accounts or accusations against Christ, brothers and sisters, one of the accusations is that he was born through fornication. Okay? That's right. One of the accusations that led to his crucifixion, they piled on a lot of garbage and lies like they do us today on our Lord and Savior, right? That led to his crucifixion. One of the accusations against him is that he was born through fornication. This mysterious understanding that's getting debated today on whether or not Christ was born through Mary or was Joseph his physical father. Well, brothers and sisters, I have good news. This coming Sunday, we lay that to bed. Why? Because those who was minded to put Christ away privately during Mary's pregnancy, that's right, folks, they have an account. And the Romans even know about this account. That Christ wasn't born through fornication. How everyone knew about the arrangement of Joseph with Mary. And we have their accounts because they made their accounts during the trial. And guess what, folks? That's documented also, what? In Roman history. Because he was actually placed under, that's right, a Roman trial of crucifix. Yeah, did you know that? Even though our people gave him up, he was given up to the government to be crucified under a Roman capital punishment. So there was a trial. There were accounts. There were witnesses. Even the witnesses that were there at Christ's birth. So we're going to lay it all to bed concerning whether or not he came through Mary or whether or not he's from the what? The bloodline, the generations of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob through his father, Joseph. We're going to break that down and more, and I hope you can be a part of that. If you miss it, this academy, don't worry about it. It's new information that I brought out this information before there was YouTube, but it's fresh information that we're going back into the archives to dig out for this academy and the academies to come, since we're in archaeology and history time. So I hope you're there. And if you missed the academy this time, don't worry about it. We're taking new enrollments for the academy to come On top of that, for those who have been in multiple or many academies, we're going to make it better for you, and we're going to put together gifts and packages. We have academy t-shirts coming and other things to show our appreciation. So I hope you continue to support that work. It's time we support our own classes. All right. Now, jumping right in. Sunday, there was a roundtable discussion. Roundtable discussion, right? The split between men and women. How do we come on one accord? And it so happened that we had the brother, Austin Holloman, from the Passport Bros on right before the segment so that he can give his insight to why he chose to go overseas. Okay? An open perspective, allow him to give his insight to why he've chosen this, because so many people online have been speaking for him. And I wanted him to freely give an insight to what he's witnessing out there, opposed to what he's run from, what's going on in America. And it was a very, 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 I would say, enlightened discussion. Okay, the brother was articulate. Okay, he didn't shy away from any of the questions. And of course, I was dealing with the questions on what they're saying out there and what is his answer to that. And I asked them, and people will tell you it was great and edifying, because sometimes we don't listen and would like to do what? Draw conclusions and paint people in a negative light without actually hearing them. Well, guess what, folks? It was a very, very, very productive conversation. And there's a reason why they're putting all these hit pieces out on this brother. Not to say that everything he's doing is perfect or whatever the case is, but they're not telling the world what this brother true objectives are and what he want in the future for him and his family. You very rarely hear anyone talk about what this brother's plans in the future to have a family and what that looks like. He's painted as this bachelor that's going around just dealing with people and all that. And I'm going to put the discussion up soon so you can hear it yourself. Okay? I asked him some very tough questions also, but I was respectful to him as a guest, and he gave a perspective that the mainstream media will never put out there concerning him. Okay? White people, Asian people, any other people in this world can travel anywhere they want without backlash. Okay? All of a sudden, if a black man chooses to travel somewhere, it's the worst thing that have ever happened. He's leaving the plantation. I mean, sisters even have the freedom to live their lives and go other places. To live their life and go other places and explore. And no one asks any questions. And there's a lot of things going on in Jamaica and all of that, okay, that I'm not even going to discuss. But when the black man thinks about leaving the plantation, there's always something negative. Well, I say, young man, get your passport and explore. There's much wisdom that comes through travel. It seems like we have to be told what to do, and someone have to hold our hands and do what? Keep us in line anytime we go out of what? The plantation's parameters. What are they afraid of? Is this, and the brother believe in Christ. Okay. He wants a family. He wants a family of 5. But there's a question in particular I asked the brother. I asked him, well, if you do find a good woman here in the United States who fit the bill, will you reconsider? And I'm going to put up that whole conversation soon on this particular site. And I'm sure, brothers and sisters, that's going to give brothers and sisters alike the true perspective concerning this young man. Okay? The journey he's on. All right? And I pray that he do things in righteousness, and I pray that he get what he's seeking according to God. Okay? I pray that the brother get what he's seeking. I mean, when you pull up things, of course, they're going to always go into the provocative scenarios of where he's frequenting, who he's sitting down with. But brothers and sisters, there's a lot of scenarios when the camera comes on that will shape a perception. And he have to be careful with that. But some of it is just optics, showing brothers and sisters, his brothers who feel that there's no options out there, to explore their options outside of the boundaries. But me, I say get a passport in case you need it, because when the hell break loose, every other nation is going to go back to their own countries. And those who haven't exercised their rights to be able to explore this world will probably be stuck under some circumstances. So if everyone else can get a passport and travel the world, why can't we? So I'll leave it there. But I'm going to put up that particular segment because I'm sure brothers and sisters out there outside of the academy will appreciate the discussion. It's well beyond just traveling, because there's no good women and all these other things that the media would like to keep what? Keep in the minds of people to discourage them from hearing a man. Hearing the brother. Very articulate. The brother's, he's articulate. And he has a conscience. And I hope that, he stayed through the academy and all that. And I hope that this opened the door in which, at the end of the day, he opened up this Bible. You understand? To actually do what? Guide him on his journey in righteousness. That's what I'm praying about. That's what I hope happens through that transaction. Not transaction, but that conversation, between him and I. Okay? Well, let's talk about this today. The silent war against the people. Fair use. And I'm going to go into Maui in a second. But I need you all to hear something on the back of our broadcast, or our Hebrew Bible Academy, the battle between man and woman. Right? Look at what they're saying in church now. Huh? Look at what they're saying in Christian churches. Pastor Devin Franklin, brothers and sisters, has a message from God for you. Not the God we serve. His God. Devin Franklin want to share the word. Yeah, thank you, Elder Lawyer. Okay, thank you, Elder Lawyer, for sharing this with me. Right, Elder Lawyer and Aaron. Okay, Aaron, for sharing this with me. Fair use. Man, the preachers got that Bible open, don't they? Fair use.
In verse 22, this is the creation of the woman, Eve. But you don't hear Eve coming into the earth saying, "Where's my man?" Adam was the one who was broken. Eve came into the earth whole. She had both ribs. Society wants women to believe you're broken if you're not with somebody. But God says the woman came into the earth complete, not seeking or needing anyone. You are one of one. There's nothing wrong with you if you're not with somebody. You as a woman are complete. And I gotta say it because I'm tired of us supporting a culture that tries to make women think there's something wrong with them if they're not married. It's just not true.
And I'm reaping all the benefits.
And it's the devil reaping all the benefits.
In verse 22, this
Let's
is
hear
the
it
creation
again.
of the woman, Eve. But you don't hear Eve coming into the earth saying, "Where's my man?" Adam was the one who was broken. Eve.
Adam is the one that was broken. Now, I'm not going to make any excuses for Adam. He sinned. But brothers and sisters, can you see why men have given up on the Christian church in particular, strong men. And it's a shame because the sisters that are cheering in the back will have to suffer this indoctrination that keeps them from actually having a fulfilled life with a husband. Right? Why? And I hate to say this. These are the satanic simps who are left.
Eve came into the earth whole. She had both ribs. Society wants women to believe you're broken if you're not with somebody.
Look, listen to this. You think this particular sermon is helping these women? Huh?
But God says the woman came into the earth complete.
But God said the woman came into the world complete. Woman means from man. I'm going to show you how dangerous this is.
Not seeking or needing anyone.
Not seeking or needing anyone. And see, this is what we get. Prosperity preachers. T.D. Jakes started this mess. Before him, his daddy, his Jesuit daddy, Kenneth Copeland, with the prosperity, chase the money doctrine. But God said, what? You're complete. It's Adam that's broken. Nothing is wrong with you, sisters. And it's a shame this is being taught to our families, our women. At the same time, the other persuasions of people in their suburbs are going to their white churches, family all intact, teaching the righteous order from God. This is criminal.
You are one of one. There's nothing wrong with you if you're not with somebody.
There's nothing wrong with you if you're not with somebody. Now, of course, a person can choose to stay single if they would like. There's nothing wrong with that. But he's actually promoting the behavior. There's nothing, you don't have to change nothing. You don't have to become agreeable. You don't have to work with a man. Contrary to the doctrine of the Bible he's holding, that he made what? Eve to be a helpmeet to Adam. And we talked about this. Folks, this is the delusion the world is dealing with right now. This is what we have to contend against. And what's being pumped, what is coming from this?
You as a woman are complete. And I gotta say it because I'm tired of us supporting a culture that tries to make women think there's something wrong with them if they're not married. It's just not true.
The purpose of a woman is a man. Not according to Elder Ricochet. Let me repeat that. The purpose of a woman is a man. Period. She was made to be a helpmeet to Adam's dominion. Adam seen all the other animals, male and female, and there was no one for him to help him do his duty in the earth like the other animals. To be fruitful and multiply. To help him with what? Bringing forth God's will on earth. So the Most High took a woman. Woman means, it's not how you think or how you feel. It's a biblical term, from man. From man. Okay? Nothing is wrong with that. Yeah, she has children. She bring forth male and female. But it's the man who have the X or Y chromosome to decide whether or not his seed is male or female. Regular biology, right? So even though the woman carries the child, it's the man's seed that determines male or female. But there would be no people on earth if the Most High didn't first take rib from Adam. And you have people like this turning the Most High's word on its head, lying to women. This is why good women are leaving the church. Because I believe they're incentivized to keep people, women, in their current state. And by doing so, man and woman, we all become stagnant, fighting against one another from programming like this. We're fighting to put things back in order according to God, and Satan is fighting with his ministers to keep us at odds with one another. And why am I pulling this out? I need y'all to see this. No, thank you. While they're telling people, sisters in church, that they don't need a man, the corporations are selling this to our children. You don't need a man. There's no man around. It's okay. Without a man, this will give us easier access to your children while you aren't looking. See this? Yeah, mommy, give me a pack of Skittles. Black trans lives matter. Black trans lives matter. See? Taste the rainbow. You don't need a man. Everything is perfect. Have your boy dress up like a girl on a skateboard. Huh? See? Taste the rainbow. You don't need a man. The new Skittle packages. Right-wing trolls are outraged at Skittles pro-trans pride packaging. Yeah, I think that's the same woman who said that we need to be liberated from our men. Right? They're always working, these satanic liberals, using their best agent, their secret agent right here. The unassuming, you got it, plantation. Plantation owner. The unassuming plantation owner, because usually when we think of plantation, we think of white men. No. Here's the liberal agent that's being used to actually decimate our women too. There they go. The liberal nut jobs, but I digress. Where am I going today? How am I going to pull all of this together based on what's in Scripture? Well, brothers and sisters, at the very end, the Bible speaks, and that's including the extra biblical text, that we at the very end would be living in a complete time of confusion. in a complete time of confusion. Fires, sicknesses, handicap adverts all over the place. People playing basketball and dying on the courts at the age of 17 years of age. All of this coming from all different angles. Children getting targeted and sexualized at an early age. Men getting indoctrinated in the world to hate their other half, which is woman, and vice versa. Okay? But when I put that out there, I'm going to make this clear. Okay? And that's why I had Austin Holloman on there last Sunday. I'm going to make this clear. Let me make this clear, okay? When I spoke to that brother, I didn't get the thought after speaking with the brother that he hate women. He hate what they're doing to the women in the Western world, especially when he wants a family. And there's many brothers like that, and we're going to talk about that. But the overall objective is to have man and woman fight against each other and have those who are split on sexual lines, religious lines, as well as outside of religion, racial lines, to battle each other or to fight against one another while they wage a silent war against all of us. Women want righteous men, and good men want virtuous women. But politically, something is happening in the earth where they've actually put the insane, politicized everything, and put the insane in position to keep us at odds, fighting one with another through the spirit of confusion. Like that pastor I just showed you. But how do we bring some clarity to this? Well, in the book of Baruch, and I went over this before, and I hope you will follow us to understand how close we are. How close we are to the end. I'm in 2nd Baruch 27. He said and answered, and he said unto me, unto 12 parts is this time divided, and each one of them is reserved for that which is appointed for it. In the first part there shall be the beginning of commotions. Yeah, Black Lives Matter, rioting, protesting, right? You'll see commotions, political commotions, which are engineered first. Now, there's some alleged information out there on whether or not this George Floyd thing is exactly how they reported it. And I'm not talking about whether or not someone had a knee on someone's neck. The time of death concerning George Floyd, allegedly, that people need to look into. Because there was some things out there that was being discussed that there was a death that happened probably years prior. Okay. So, of the same person, but I digress. Allegedly. And I'm going to show that this coming Friday. How they use certain trigger, hot button topics to incinerate the politically naive. to get them out in number to push a political agenda. The Satanist does this, and our people fall for it over and over again. Commotions. In the second part, there shall be slaying of the great ones. And in the third part, the fall of many by death. We'll be hearing about death in all these things. Someone said there's reports out there of a 2016 date, and I've seen that report, allegedly. And I think people need to look into that to show you how the only thing they need is a storyline to actually press or pull on your emotional strings to get you out there, to progress their political agendas and say, look, black people are concerned about this, no justice, no peace. And at the end of it, they get the bag and more financial status and all that, using our outrage to only wage silent war against us. None of the money at the end of the day or the political agenda that came out of protesting ever, it never helped the people who were behind, who were in front of the protest. They use our energy, which I believe is satanic in of itself, to progress a scenario only to have our enemy financially grandized against it so that they can use more money to wage silent war against us. The fall of many by death, and in the fourth part, the sending of the sword, which is war. And in the fifth part, famine. Y'all heard about, brothers and sisters, that they're going to use these crimes out there, right? In Chicago and other places to begin in an effort to close down many supermarkets, right? I told y'all they was going to do this. Socially engineered a scenario by financially blocking us out of the system, by allowing immigrants and others to replace us. At the same time, if you block out of people financially from being able to earn for their families, crime automatically goes up. So they knew what was going to happen. Bring in the asylum cities, billions of dollars towards these strangers who had nothing to do with building the country, only to have those who are suffering without any guardians or any parental guidance over the children, only to allow them to raise themselves and to cause chaos in the cities. Let's keep the man and woman fighting. Let's indoctrinate the children, starve the people out by not giving black men jobs in particular. Start putting the sisters out, like I've mentioned in past broadcasts. And it leads to a famine. An engineered one, allegedly, but a famine nonetheless. Well, we cannot serve this area anymore with food. Let's shut down the supermarkets because there's too much crime in the area. Silent war. And brothers and sisters, it will only get worse. And the withholding of rain modifications. And in the sixth part, earthquakes and terrors. And in the eighth part, a multitude of specters and attacks of the shadim. Yeah, mental health. Demon possession, which is truly mental health. That's what the attacks of the specters and shadim, the shadim and specters look like. These are demons. Okay? And in the ninth part, what? The fall of fire. The what? The fall of fire. The fall of fire, folks. Now, some of these things are natural, but then others will be engineered. Engineered to bring forth what? Satan's new world order. What Christ and others were reporting on is how the governments of the earth would actually be behind the attacks on the people. And this is why I have titled this Silent War Against the People. And they don't care what color you are. They don't care what gender you are. Satan wants you dead. The fall of fire. We're going to talk about that in a moment. All right? Hold on. Let me blow it up so you all can see this. I have a touch screen. Thanks for you brothers and sisters who have always supported the church. And through this, I'm able to get some very good equipment, to bring some of these broadcasts more to life for you all. So I thank you. I wouldn't be able to deal with this technology like this and use a touch screen and all that if it wasn't for your support. So thank you. Fall of fire. And in the 10th part, rapine and much oppression. And in the 11th part, wickedness and unchastity. Unchastity. Folks, they got what they call a Mocha Festival every year in Houston, Texas. Broad daylight, our people with the cameras rolling are out there. And guess what? There's children in the audience and all that. It's called the Mocha Festival. Mocha chocolate. Yeah. They're out there having relations. Let me put it that way. This is the Bible broadcast. Having relations in broad daylight with others filming them. Men, women, women on women, men on women, all of that, the Mocha Fest. Unchastity. Knowing, folks, uploading it too, knowing they're getting filmed. On top of that, a syphilis epidemic in Houston right now. They say it's up to 228% when it comes to the numbers of what's going on amongst our people. But the numbers are compounded exponentially on the woman's side. And this is what the news are saying: women of color. Now, they try to really, really smooth it out and not say it's happening to our sisters. Women of color. What women of color are you talking about? Are you talking about black women? Was this your plan? Unchastity? Separating our families so that you can get to our children and turn them out, and now the world have been turned out? Unchastity. That means not chaste, not having any honor or what? Control over one's temple. Keeping yourself for that important person. And in the 12th part, what? Confusion is where we are. This is where we are, folks. Satan is throwing so many things from so many areas that we don't realize it's a prophecy. We're in the 12th part, which is the last part of all of the 12 parts, which is confusion. Because through the confusion, no one understands that they're actually under attack. Right? And it tells us for about the last 50 years, according to this prophecy, folks, this prophecy in particular, brothers and sisters, is really the last 50 years. Depopulation, war against family, and at the end, Christ said in Matthew 24 and 22, if he didn't cut Satan's time short, which is the elite who's controlling this world under their God, Satan, because Satan is real. If Christ didn't cut the time short, not one person would live through this. And folks, we're near the end of that 50 years, that Jubilee. We're near the end of it. We're near the end of it. I'm going to be talking about that this coming Friday and break it down to y'all folks that we're at the end of that 50 years. Okay? When I say we're at the end of it, we're not at the last year end of it, but we're going into the last, soon we'll be going into the last 7 years. Very soon. And it tells us in the book of Jeremiah that all the other nations who have passports, after they continue to help break and destroy our people in the Western world, they're going to begin to go back to their country when there's nothing left from what? From them totally raping the harlot. There'll be nothing left, and they're going to begin to go back to their countries. I need y'all to look in our inner cities, folks. It looks like Bangladesh and Beijing everywhere. They're coming in to raid, and with their passports, when they leave, there'll be nothing left. And eventually, we'll have to do so also. There will be a war also. Listen to me, and I reported this years ago, and now it's unfolding, that the last battlefront will be Africa. It's going to be a war against Africa. And Russia is double-crossing Africa. I'm telling you this right now. Russia is a part of the 10 horns. And eventually, those who have the wherewithal and the understanding in our current time to get your paperwork together, if there's any liens on you, if there's any warrants on you, now is the opportunity to get yourself straight and get yourself some identification. The only identification that's going to matter that will allow you access beyond this melting pot that's about to blow. Right? There will be no safe place until we're in the wilderness. And this is why Christ said, when you're persecuted in one city, flee into the next. We're going to have to be like pilgrims in the earth, moving from one place to the next until we're guided in the wilderness. And guess what? We're not going to be guided eventually. Folks, we're going to be running for our lives into that place. There's a strategic war, and the battleground is starting here in the Western world, America first in particular, to use the model that they will actually execute on the rest of the world. And they've done a great job using our people as guinea pigs. And all of you other races out there standing pat because it's not happening to your people like our people, understand they usually test on us what they're planning to do against you and your family. So it's us right now. And you know what? We can overcome this. We've overcome everything else. But I don't know how you're going to overcome this without the understanding of this truth, without the understanding of our God. See, we're used to being ostracized, experimented on, separated, downtrodden. We're used to it. We'll adjust. We're the children of Israel. Our God have always given us what? Exodus strategies. All the way from Egypt. But understand, while you sitting back thinking, well, okay, these black people, it's a caste system. We don't care about them. It's about capitalism and being able to gain our financial fortitude off the backs of the people who've actually built the country. Well, guess what? Everything they've done to us, they have plans on doing to you and your family. So I need you all to think about that. For you other nations who believe that you're under some level of privilege. The only privilege you're getting right now is to conspire against God's people during the time of the awakening. That's why Esau has given you access. That's the only reason. But at the end of this, your gods will fall and you'll fall if you continue to work with Esau against the children of God. We're God's chosen people. So you know what? It's going to be rough. There's a persecution we'll go through. But our people have always persevered. You don't know how it is to go through chattel slavery and have your family taken from you, have your woman taken from you. From generation to generation, there's an indoctrination to keep us at odds at each other, but still, we as a people overcome. And it's because of our God. So I'm glad the Most High have given us the Bible, the truth. I'm glad he's given us the understanding to why we had to suffer all these things for disobedience against the commandments. I thank the Most High because through that comes solution. To stand on the right side of judgment before it comes. And it's coming. Brothers and sisters, you're going to have to prepare yourself. In every sense of the word, there's a silent war against you. I don't have to tell you that. There's a silent war against you because they understand who we are. We're the children of God. And that's our people. But guess what? There's some white people too who know what's going on is wrong. You don't fall, if you're white or you're Caucasian, don't fall for the Republican tropes that you're standing on the side against black people as your enemy. It's the doctrine the Most High have delivered through black people that have been the saving grace for this earth since Christ was born in this earth. And before that, Moses. And it's no different back then than today. The saving grace is through mercy. We're going to show you this Bible and show you the way. We're going to show you the way. We don't have no axe to grind against white people because why? According to the Bible, it's your turn. The Greeks and Roman is the end of the world. We know our God gave you power to rule for a time. So I have no problem with you as long as you don't try to directly harm me personally. We're here to teach you too because all will fall under the judgment, whether you're black, white, Jacob, or Esau. So I'm telling you, white people out there, if you're white, understand there are some good people who believe in God and trust in Christ and understand that these prophecies are true, who have the true doctrine that was destroyed by the Romans when they sacked our country, Jerusalem, in 70 AD. The Most High have delivered back what? The true doctrine. And the books that were burned and some was lost. He revealed it back to us so that we have the doctrine intact. Within this church, we have the doctrine intact that the Romans sought to hide from the world. Whether you believe it or not, the only way out of this is the God of the Hebrews. So it's going to come a time where you're going to have to lay down your racist views that you've been indoctrinated to believe, having a privilege, only to read that Bible again. We're not your enemy. The devil is your enemy. Satan is your enemy. And understand that Christ in the last days would bring forth his understanding and prophecy to save you and your family too through this persecution. Maui. Fair use. Persians are the Iranians. Don't believe what they're teaching in mainstream Christianity, that Russia is Gog and Magog and all that. That's a lie. Russia don't have any prophetic place at the very end, okay, as one of the prophetic superpowers, okay? They are one of the 10 horns in the last days, okay? From a global perspective, America and Russia is no different than, on a lower level, the Democrats and Republicans. Okay? They're playing that from a global scale, as if they're really against one another. And when I walk through America, there's nothing but Russians running around. Okay? Don't sound like they're enemies to me. Don't look like it is enemies to me. Then when you go to Russia and others, America's over there. So they're being used politically to squeeze our people. All right? But I digress. All right? Maui, the tribe of Naphtali, are from Hawaii. The tribe of Naphtali, and I have the books to prove it. A matter of fact, during the news, I'm going to pull out a few facts in the academy this coming weekend, and I may show some of that in this for the Sabbath also. The Hawaiians are from the tribe of Naphtali.
August 8th, 2023 marked the start of the deadliest wildfires in modern
Fair
history
use.
on Hawaii, in particular on the island of Maui. As of August 15th, 99 people have been declared dead, with hundreds still missing, with survivors bracing for the worst. The causes leading up to the fire and the level of incompetence from local governments is pretty staggering. But there's also much more to this story, from investors and billionaires trying to buy up land to shady players trying to rebuild Maui as the world's first smart city. So what's really going on? And how
What's really going on is Bible prophecy. And, sir, I'm going to segue to what's really going on. All right? Let me segue to what's really going on. Because these fires are quite convenient. Some would say that the pandemic or whatever that we just went through was quite convenient also. When you go to the World Economic Forum and I look at all their white papers and their progression going forward towards a new world order and what they have out there in particular, because I'm looking at prophecy, I'm watching politically what's going on, right? So what they have in particular, let me show you this. There's a few things on the docket to progress the New World Order, brothers and sisters. Listen to me and listen to me good. Right? When you go to the World Economic Forum, there's a few things that you'll see, and COVID is in the middle of all that. It says COVID-19. And when you hit on COVID-19, it opens up. It opens up and it goes into brackets that the World Economic Forum must accomplish to their end goal, right? You know what? I'm going to pull that up this coming Friday. I'm going to pull that up Friday for my Patreon members. But there's a few things in particular. There's a few things in particular when you look up the World Economic Forum, intertwining with all of these bigwigs, out there, the Gates and all these others, right? One thing in particular that's highlighted is, in order for them to progress this New World Order or whatever they're doing, they must deal with what? COVID is a key component on the World Economic Forum. Global warming or climate change is a component to this that will lead the world into transitioning or accepting a new world with less people. One component that really piqued my interest that I didn't know was a part of this is the diversity piece. Climate change, COVID-19, it said, and diversity. The political workings of how they use diversity. Now, if America or the inner cities is the model that I'm witnessing, I don't think diversity long term will benefit anyone. But now I can see how diversity could work for them. Because through teaching diversity, it's what? It's causing a cataclysm amongst the communities of the United States. And if there's infighting, the world powers can easily what? Maneuver to benefit from that infighting so that people are not coming together under one accord to actually see what they're doing against us. So diversity is a key piece that's being rolled out under the guise of human rights, right? Diversity, they said COVID-19, and they also said climate change. These are the three in particular that's going to progress their new world order, folks, under Satan. Getting to Maui, linking directly to 2 Baruch when it says the 12th part is what? The falling of fire. Fair use. Remember Build Back Better? The picture gets clearer after reading this. And it states, the government of Hawaii states goal for rebuild to make the entire island of Maui the first smart island. This is what it says. I'm just reading it. They want the entire island governed by AI as outlined in the Hawaii Digital Government Summit of 2023. Now, mind you, folks, remember years ago there was a COVID summit. And now we have another summit off the back of a state or an island, folks, that's conveniently under fire right now. Now they did this, they had this forum before the fires. They want the entire island governed by the AI as outlined in the Hawaii Digital Government Summit of 2023 that they have planned to host next month, September 25th, 2023. Now, there are also other meetings. Don't forget, September 25th, 2023 on Maui, this is planned for this forum. But there's other prior meetings based on this particular thing right here that goes into the planning that would lead up to September 25th, 2023. There must have been some prior planning for them to be there to do a smart city and, on the island in the near future. The falling of fire. Interesting. Well, I so happen, brothers and sisters, to have it up for you so that no one can think that this is a conspiracy theory. Now, these people of Hawaii are from the lost tribes of Israel, and I can prove it. They're from the tribe of Naphtali. And it could be a coincidence. But what president came out of nowhere who ran for president when there was controversy concerning his birth? What president out of nowhere, we were told in America, was born in Hawaii? See, I'm going to bring y'all some pieces you wouldn't normally understand or get from other places. No one is saying this, folks. But I'm showing you how this is coming around full circle. It so happened that right after the election, when Trump lost the election, that the Obamas left their place in the Hamptons and moved right around the corner from the White House to live close to the White House? At the same time, we're questioning the cognitive ability of the one who's in place. I need y'all to really think about how this, and brothers and sisters, y'all hit the nail on the head. This man came out of nowhere who had no attachment on the soil with any of us, where there was questions concerning his birth and other things. But guess what? Our people ignored it all because why? For the first time in American history, we felt that there was someone who would understand us and would represent us. Well, folks, who better to use to bring forth this new world order? Who better to use than someone the children of God, the children of Israel in America and around the world would trust? And I told people about this, the spirit of Antichrist, linking to this before Obama was elected. Before he was elected, I told everyone. Now, is he the Antichrist? Well, that whole concept of the Antichrist is deceptive. There is no the Antichrist. Satan is the Antichrist. But all of these people in political positions are under the spirit of pushing Antichrist policy. And then you have to look at who raised him, who indoctrinated him. What was the ideology? There was questions concerning his upbringing with a level of Marxism infused within his ideology. One of the most destructive political ideologies known to man. Marxism has been responsible for millions upon millions of people dying under that ideology. Any country that upholds and also stands under Marxism, when you think of Stalin and all these others in history, have led to millions of people dying. And now here it is, fires coming out of nowhere, conveniently from Obama's quote unquote alleged birthplace. Full circle. He's around the corner from the White House, and guess what? Hawaii is burning. Now, don't be surprised, folks. Don't be surprised if the Obamas is rolled out and then Obama comes out and talks about how his heart goes out to those who are from his homeland and the place that he was born. He has a personal vested interest in making sure that that place have all of the finances that's needed with American support to build back Hawaii. See, the fire is burning right now, but I'm showing you where this is going. Hawaii Digital Government Summit. Government Technology 2023, Honolulu. Now, like the man mentioned, and I can't play his video because I don't want to, like the reporter mentioned in the YouTube video, I don't want to impose on his rights on the video. But there's a lot of skepticism going on to how this fire conveniently came out of nowhere and how billionaires are stepping in to purchase large segments of these areas that were, as they would allege, strategically, conveniently disastered. Let me put it that way. Right? Now, they have actually, brothers and sisters, believe it or not, have put in what? An outline to say, well, this have nothing to do with anything. They have to put in a buffer, right? Now that people are on to them, they have to put in a disclaimer that, nah, these are conspiracy theorists. This is nothing to do about anything. But let's see what the Chief Information Officer, Douglas Murdoch, have to say. Quote, this is his quote, I don't have to say alleged. At the 2023 Hawaii Digital Government Summit, attendees will have unique opportunities to share ideas, celebrate best practices, and hear about the latest technology trends. This year's summit will bring together public sector and industry innovators to better understand and navigate these ever-changing and challenging times the Bible calls the end of the world. I'm excited to hear provoking, inspiring speakers and have meaningful discussions with you all in September. Quote, unquote, in advance. Right? As you can see, the usual suspects, a TED Talk motivational speaker. Right? TED Talk motivational speaker. You have to watch these guys. Jack Shaw, innovation and technology strategist. Speaker and author. What would they be talking about? Starting over 3 decades ago, even before the birth of e-commerce. Yeah. And through the advent of blockchain in the early millennium. So they're going to be talking about what? Economics as this thing is being brought back. And they're going to have a more, I would say, advanced building back when it comes to what? When it comes to the market, the industry, purchasing, and all these others, leading into a new world or new time for commerce. Isn't this convenient? Right? They have all the usual suspects. Governor Josh Green, state of Hawaii. Check this out. Right? And we have here, so we have proud husband, father, a physician. So we got technology, medicine, and we also have Paralympic Games silver medalist, Persian Gulf War veteran, and motivational speaker. Paralympic. An elder lawyer brought out not too long ago how some of the science are going to help those who have handicaps with the new integration of technology, connecting the brain to certain technology. Right? So all of a sudden, out of anywhere, out of nowhere, the same place fires are happening, a meeting has been conveniently scheduled. Here it is. Here's the agenda. I got it in front of you. Let's move Hawaii forward. And I'm sure what's ever modeled out of this can be utilized after disasters or after inconveniences, coincidences, disasters in other places. Cybersecurity readiness and response. Cyber threat attacks increasing in potency and frequency while becoming more treacherous to navigate each year. Having a solid and well-prepared incident response plan is not an option to consider, right? All in all, the future of work. Real talk about change management, technology. So we're going to be keeping our eye on this. But in the meantime, I do pray for my brothers and sisters who are in Hawaii. If you would like to come in and have a say, you can call tonight or call during our Patreon discussion. I'm going to try to bring in some people. We have church members in Hawaii who can give us some insight on the ground to what's happening there. And I'm hoping to do that. I'm hoping to do that this Friday, leading into also the academy, to have boots on the ground to give us some insight, because there's a lot of, I would say, skeptical behavior and activities that people, let me put it this way. The rumblings has happened. They're very suspicious in Hawaii concerning how this have come out of nowhere, like it was in Canada when those fires came out of nowhere, which is what? Bible prophecy. Let's read it again, last but not least, and I'll open up the lines after this, 515-605-9327. And Elder Lawyer, if you're there, I can bring you in. It's up to you. Once more from 2nd Baruch. And he answered and said unto me, in 12 parts is that time divided. And of each of them is reserved for that which is appointed for it. And the first there shall be beginning of commotions. They're stirring up people's emotions, causing riots and all these others. And the second, what? And the second part, slaying of the great ones. We'll hear about people dying, being slayed. Like we may hear about people just out of nowhere, just falling dead at the ripe ages of 17 and all that, for no apparent reason at all. Young, healthy, vibrant athletes are dying coincidentally for no reason at all. And I believe most people have an inclination to what may be impacting society like this, where young athletes are dying. Most people have an idea of what it might be, but are afraid to even say it. And in the third part, the fall of many by death, like we're hearing about the 99 dead, and usually there's a death count on anything that's rolled out, right? Cases and deaths and all of that. And in the fourth part, the sending of the sword, you'll hear about war or fight, or the administrations of the world, the New World Order, and the leaders over the order asking for budgets to go kill more people, which only leads to them progressing towards their New World Order plans. And in the fourth part, the sending of the sword, war. And in the fifth part, famine. They're talking about closing down markets and using us as the excuse for it. Only to, like they did with the schools, to have us what? Have our children locked up and all that and stop giving us programs. Only to have a convenient place for asylum seekers now to have a clean cot and 3 meals. All of these empty federal buildings that could have been utilized for us were empty and just convenient after the pandemic to have a place where these people can now lodge who are asylum seekers from other countries. And now, what of the supermarkets that have closed? Like the Walmarts, what are they sitting there for? What about the Giants? What are they sitting there for? Stay tuned on this channel and you'll see we've been reporting on this since 2007, before YouTube. We told you that all of these places will be eventually used for processing. What I didn't know is that they would do it under the guise of asylum seekers to process people. And what they put in place there can eventually be utilized for citizens. Listen to me and listen to me good. In the fifth part, famine, the withholding of rain, weather modification systems, and then the sixth part, earthquakes and terrorists. Look at what happened over in Haiti. We've always questioned the Clintons and others' political affiliations over Haiti. Throughout all of these administrations, it seems as if the Clintons have always had a stake in Haiti. Haiti is sitting on so much riches, so much oil and all this others, minerals and all that the people of Haiti cannot benefit from. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, they're opening the doors when telling Haitians, don't worry about it. No more floating on wood and doors to seek asylum. Come on into America. Now, we want our Levite brothers and sisters safe. But all of a sudden, if they really cared about Haiti, they would, I'm speaking of the Clintons and others, even in Africa, they would actually do what? They would do what they do for their people. They would build the environment so that what? That these people can thrive on the land that belongs to them. But all of a sudden, you're going to chase everyone into a what? A sinking ship, only to eventually say, yeah, go over here while we conveniently plan to take what's here. If you leave, then we can get all of these minerals and resources and riches without resistance. Check out what they're doing, folks. Like, what is this thing where to help us, you're going to help us flee from our country instead of helping us benefit from the land we're living on? Y'all have to understand the trick, and that's why I called this the silent war against our people. Displacing people is a strategic war tactic, folks. Oh yeah, run this way while we take your land and do what we should have helped you do with it, and rape the mineral resources from the people. In the eighth part, a multitude of specters and attacks of the Shadim, demon attacks. And in the ninth part, the fall of fire. The fall of fire, right there. Maui, anyone? In the 10th part, rapine and much oppression. That's right. Taking away jobs from our people, which will lead to criminality, oppressing us, forcing our sisters out of their homes. Our sisters now are becoming homeless and all of that. And in the 11th part, wickedness and unchastity. That's what's going on. Straight evil and wickedness. And in the 12th part, this is where they got you now. Confusion. Confusion. That's right. Confusion. Yeah, little kids, while we destroy your parents, we need you to taste the rainbow. Yeah, get you a pack of Skittles. Black trans lives matter. And I reject this notion to tie this evil to our people. And our people need to be fighting back with every inch in us against this political assassination they're doing against our people. Tying us, Black Lives Matter is garbage. We don't have nothing to do with Black Lives Matter or the people or the Satanists who are behind it. And we reject the notion that you would tie us now to intersexual behavior and then on top of that, aim this evil at our children. confusion. We're living in the last days. And at the same time, you have everyone everywhere not understanding the time, who should know better, operating in the spirit of conflict, confusion, and dissension. We're at the very end, and what? You would think we would come closer together. People who are letting their emotions override their logical mind are losing it at the very end. And Christ told us about this. Christ told us about this. Let me pull it up. Let me get it right here. 1 second. Matthew 24:1. Matthew 24:1. And when he went out and departed into the Mount of Olives. 1 second, let me grab this. When he went out and departed to the temple, and his disciples came to him to show him the buildings of the temple. And Yeshua said unto them, this is Christ, Jesus. He said unto them, see ye not all these things? Verily I say unto you, there shall not be left here one stone upon another that shall not be thrown down. That shall not be thrown down. And he sat upon the Mount of Olives. The disciples came to Christ privately, saying, tell us, when shall those things be? And when shall be the sign of thy coming and the end of the world? And Yeshua answered and said unto them, take heed that no man deceive you. Take heed that no man deceive you. Okay? Let me show you this real quick. One moment. Take heed that no man deceive you. Let me grab it here so you all can see it with me. Take heed that no man deceive you. And he sat upon the Mount of Olives, and the disciples came unto him privately, saying, tell us, when shall the things be, and what shall be the sign of thy coming and the end of the world? Right? 1 second. The end of the world. And Yeshua answered and said unto them, take heed that no man deceive you. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ. That's the Christians who don't really believe anything concerning Christ. Like the man we showed you earlier, claiming that the woman was perfect and that it was man that was in the deception. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, Christians, liars, and shall deceive many. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of world wars, and see that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places. Everything Baruch said would happen is happening, and it was confirmed through Christ before Christ was crucified. But these are what? The beginning of sorrows. Then they shall deliver you up to be afflicted, throw you in jail and all that, and shall kill you, and you shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. And the reason why we're hated, folks, is because we're allowing the devil to be utilized, to utilize the media to demonize us. They are attaching us to everything evil, even the concepts they created, like Marxism, and making everyone believe that that's what we want as an option politically in the world. And Christ called them out. But this is where we are with the people right now who claim to be in Christ. And then shall many be offended. Here's the problem. Instead of doing what Christ say do, they're going to run around with grudges in their heart, offended, and not dealing with things like Christ said do. And Satan will begin to turn their heart dark. Then Satan going to be in their ear. Man, there ain't no truth. That was never right. A matter of fact, none of this is of the Most High. I hate them. They're going to start talking in your ear because you didn't deal with your initial offense. Many shall become offended. And instead of dealing with things like the Most High said, they're going to go into their little conclaves and corners and begin to what? Plot. Like they plotted against Christ. All in their feelings. And folks, you're going to, guess what? I don't have a problem with it because we've been teaching this for the longest. I don't have a problem with it because Christ said it's going to happen. But I need you all to check out all that's out there and put two and two together. Instead of dealing with their issues, to actually do what Christ said, to be in this battle at the very end, they become divisive and begin infighting. I won't have no part in it. Fight yourself while I fight the enemy. The real enemy. The enemy that would not have a brother or sister do what they're supposed to do when there's an issue. And because they are offended, emotionally moved, they shall betray one another. That's not my brother. That's what they will begin to say. That's not my brother. That's not my sister. A matter of fact, I don't care what happens to them. And if something happens to them, they deserve it. A matter of fact, I'm going to stoke the fire that will create the betrayal, only to stand back and say, well, listen, I'm only here to help. Even though I was offended, I created the scenario, I stoked the fire, right? That's what they do. And then they'll sit back and behold their work and the evil that comes from it, aiming it towards who they want to attack, and then say, well, I'm just here to be the peacemaker. I'm here to bring peace. I just want to make sure there's no trouble from all this. Evil as hell. Evil as hell. Oh yeah, I'm just here to just make sure everything is good because, you know, I don't want nothing to happen. (24:11). And many false prophets shall arise and shall deceive many. They're going to begin to come with their own initiatives and their own ideas and own things, not even realizing there's no time to materialize or to accomplish anything. We're at the end. The enemy have progressed his mission against the elect, and there's no time for us to redo and repackage what the Most High have given us. We get in and we work together through the thick and thin, understanding that there's a greater battle to come. There's a greater battle. And infighting and going against each other, I don't play that game. I step over, do what I was doing from the beginning until I see my Lord, my Christ at the very end. And I pray that he says what? He says, listen, come in, my humble servant. You probably wasn't perfect, but you never stopped. I gave you 1 talent, and you flipped that over and over again, 100-fold, 1,000-fold. Come in. At least you've worked. So people make themselves casualties, and guess what? We have to step over those casualties and keep going, folks. Don't let no one deter you from this truth, brothers and sisters, and make you believe that this is anything other than what have awakened and helped so many people. And let me say this real quick. See, brothers and sisters, a lot of you are on phone calls where someone say, listen, if it wasn't for you, I would be dead right now. And I say, listen, it's not for me. It's Christ had me in position to say what I had to say, to present what I have to present. And it was Christ who saved you. A lot of people aren't even a part of those conversations. I walked in the church Saturday out of nowhere. I wanted to just pop up and teach. And I'm going to be doing more of that. I'm going to be teaching from Philadelphia, from the pulpit, more regularly. You're going to see this. And a young man came out of nowhere while I was leaving. He made himself in my view. And I looked at the brother. I'm like, how you doing, brother? He says, Elder, I may not get an opportunity to tell you this. You probably don't know me. But if it wasn't for what you said on one program, I would probably be dead right now. I'm like, all praises be to the Most High, brother. What are you talking about? He says, you probably don't remember, but I was listening. In the Philadelphia congregation. Never really had a conversation with him because there's thousands of people who come up and I interact with. Quote unquote, he stopped me, looked me straight in the eye and said, I really appreciate you, Elder. I wouldn't be here. I say, well, what happened? He says there was a diagnosis that they tried to put on me. And if I would have continued to take what they had, I wouldn't be here. And it was from that broadcast that I stopped doing that. I went for a second opinion. I did what I needed to do. And I'm here disease-free. I had no idea when I did a broadcast it was going to affect and have that brother live, hearing what he needed to hear to live through something what? Life-changing. Death in of itself he was staring at. See, but the haters and those who betray people, guess what? All of that have helped them, that have helped these people, that have healed people, that have kept people living, they'll look right over that as if it didn't exist and make good evil spoken of to justify their betrayal. To justify, because if they actually sit back and see how much this has helped so many people, they would have, at that point, there would be some level of introspect where they have to look into themselves and say, you know what? I'm tripping. I don't know why I've allowed the devil to view my brothers like this. Selfish. And that's what Christ was talking about. Only care about what their concerns are. Not realizing your concerns should be up there on the cross with Christ. There's no man in this work or no woman in this work any better than any other man or woman. And we're not going to stop doing the work of Christ that he called us to do, to only tend and coddle someone's personal issues because they don't know how to deal with an offense. And I'm saying this out there, folks, because that's how betrayal happens. It's usually one instance where someone is offended and they're not dealing with it according to Christ. And then what? Satan starts to play in their mind And then they began to do what? Have an evil eye and try to begin to find all those who may have subtle issues to justify using these people to fight a fight that they should have fought by coming with the issue. Betrayers. I'm sorry, but it's deep to see prophecy unfold before you. It's deep to see it unfold before you. And you can love people, you can care for them and pray for them, but at the end of the day, betrayal is going to happen. They betrayed Christ. And because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. Now, I wouldn't want to be on the other side of this prophecy concerning Christ. I wouldn't want to be the one Christ is talking about who would betray his own brother and begin to hate someone I once loved and cared for. I wouldn't want to. Guess what? I can't even bring myself to be like that. Even if I know you are against me and attacking me, I still can't bring myself to hate a person. Because at the end of the day, that person is depriving themselves of a friend, of someone who loved them. And they're depriving themselves of that. So I'm like, well, the Bible says, iniquity shall abound, and the love of many shall wax cold. The same person who once loved you is going to hate your guts. And that's where we are, folks, with men, women, friends. That's why none of this shocks me. But when it happens, I need everyone out there to have your eyes open and realize what side of the judgment you're on. Are you the person that's betraying or being or getting betrayed? Are you the one betraying people? Or are you the one going against a person, hating a person? Or are you the one that are being betrayed by your own friends and those who once loved you? Look at Christ's words and don't try to use an instance to justify where you are in your mind. Okay? Don't try to say because something happened, it gives me what? Justification to betray my brother or sister. Well, something happened, so now, guess what? I'm going to betray you because I'm justified in doing so. So you have to watch it, folks. We're at the very end. And at the very end, when you see the scattering and the dividing out there, what you have to ask, brothers and sisters, at the end of the day, when it comes to a person who has the spirit of Judas or betrayal on them, what is your end game? What is your goal? Okay, everything you're saying is correct. What is your goal? What is your goal? Because if it's your goal to serve Christ, you ain't even got to talk about other people or do anything against other people or always talk about someone else. Go do it. Go do Christ's work. And Christ will show favor. You don't got to crap on someone else or come against someone else to justify your stances. Do the work. Do your work. And I wanted to put that out there, folks, because I mentioned this even Saturday. Misery loves company. And there's nothing for people to find others who are disgruntled. Before I open up the line 515-605-9327. Let's see this brother, Mr. Franklin, dropping the knowledge of the Most High. Yes, right, the knowledge of the Most High. And he must be reading from another Bible. Brothers and sisters, he must be reading from another Bible because he's going to drop this for you sisters. This is real preaching right here.
And I'm reaping.
In verse 22, this is the creation of the woman, Eve. But you don't hear Eve coming into the earth saying, "Where's my man?" Adam was the one who was broken. Eve came into the earth whole. She had both ribs. Society wants women to believe you're broken if you're not with somebody. But God says the woman came into the earth complete, not seeking or needing anyone. You are one of one. There's nothing wrong with you if you're not with somebody. You as a woman are complete. And I gotta say it because I'm tired of us supporting a culture that tries to make women think there's something wrong with them if they're not married. It's just not true.
And I'm reaping all the benefits.
He says, I'm reaping all the benefits. That's Satan. Check it out.
In verse 22, this is the creation of the woman.
Look
Eve.
at it again.
But you don't hear Eve coming into the earth saying, "Where's my man?" Adam was the one who was broken. Eve came into the earth whole. She had both ribs. Society wants women to believe you're broken if you're not with somebody. But God says the woman came into the earth complete, not seeking or needing anyone. You are one of one. There's nothing wrong with you if you're not with somebody. You as a woman are complete. And I gotta say it because I'm tired of us supporting a culture that tries to make women think there's something wrong with them if they're not married. It's just not true.
And I'm reaping all the benefits.
In verse 22, this is
And Satan is reaping, brothers and sisters, all the benefits. What is he doing with that book in his hand? Now you see who's out there messing our people up, folks. I wonder how many of the apologetics are going to come against this guy out there, lying to our women. A hot mess. Well, let's open it up. 515-605-9327. The silent war against the people. Let's open up the lines.
Blog Talk Radio. Welcome to Blog Talk Radio. Please hold and you will be able to listen to the show.
All right. 515-605-9327. We've already touched on Maui and some of the plans that are being discussed this coming September concerning the new technological integrations right after the fire. Conveniently, a fire has taken place there right before a meeting is coming. And at the same time, all these billionaires are buying all of this land, allegedly, as a model system for Honolulu, a model city that will soon be copied by other countries, allegedly. 515-605-9327. I'm unmuted. Thank you, Elder Ramar. 678 area code, Silent War. You're on the line with the Gathering of Christ Church. 678 area code.
Yes.
How you doing? How can I help
Hello.
you? How can I help you?
How you doing, Elder?
I'm
How you
blessed.
doing? I'd like to make a comment.
Sure.
Um, well, you talked about a few things. I wanted to comment about the topic when you talked about the Maui situation, about the fires, and then you talked about this last preacher that you showed.
Yeah.
And I was I was looking at that, and I said, I gotta agree with you on that. It's people like that taking this book and just using it for all different kind of ways, confusing the people. I mean, he was really turning women against men. I mean, I listened to the messages when you be speaking about the things that the man and the woman should do to work together, the way under God's, commandment and laws to do it. And I know you're trying to be respectful about it, but I appreciate it when you just tell it just like it is, because that's what people need to know in these times. And I can appreciate what you're doing, the way you're doing it, the way you're saying it. It just comes out the right way, And
Yeah.
but that preacher, that guy there, I mean, I don't. Hey, he was actually turning men against the women. I was thinking about some of the things when you were talking about, like the Jezebel and the Lilith, and I was listening to a few of the other messages that you had, and how them women have attitudes against men to destroy the men and these type of things. That's kind of what he was doing, just in a different kind of way. And, I caught that. I said, well, thank goodness that the elder can break it down for us and, help us understand these things. And that's really all I wanted to say. I didn't want to tap the line. I just wanted to say I appreciate what you're doing and the way you're doing it.
Thank you, brother. I really appreciate it. And may the Most High bless you. Thank you, my brother. I appreciate him. Place
Yes,
you on
sir.
hold.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Yes, sir.
Yeah, because unfortunately, what's unfortunate in all of this, brothers and sisters, what's unfortunate here is that the majority of those sisters trust that this pastor believe or is teaching from the book he's holding in his hands. That's the deceptive part about this. You're going to have women go out after that sermon and repeat what their pastor said because they really haven't read the Bible themselves, and it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. You understand? Because now, women out there who need a man in a time where the armies and all that is coming has been convinced by preachers like this that what? They don't need a man. And that ideology in of itself benefits who? The system. Because women are the greatest consumers. They're the purchasers. They decide what is purchased in a home normally. So if you can separate the woman from the man, then you control what? The wallet. You control the purse strings of that house. So if you want to keep an economy going, you must lie to the women. And it's one thing, I understand why the consumers do it, why the corporation does it, but the preacher has a responsibility. He's just up here just straight lying. And I'm going to tell you, brothers and sisters, this brother right here know that he's lying. So this is a calculated evil in this man. He know in that same book there's nothing where the woman was complete already. The woman had 2 ribs. Adam only had 1. Well, what are you talking about, brother? Adam lost a rib for his wife. She came from him. That doesn't make him less than what the woman is. She should appreciate that without Adam, she would not exist. What are you talking about? But that's how far church have fallen from the word of God. And it's people like this that make it where others out there who who would normally give the Bible an ear, how many, it's guys like this why so many people, men in particular, are turned off from the Bible because they haven't read it, and they believe what this guy is saying is actually in the book. Listen to this foolishness.
Creation of the woman, Eve. But you don't hear Eve coming into the earth saying, "Where's my man?" Adam was the one who was broken. Eve came into the earth whole. She had both ribs. Society wants women to believe you're broken if you're not with somebody. But God says the woman came into the earth complete.
It's a shame. It's a shame. Cora, you're live.
Shalom, Elder. How are you this evening? Yeah, I'm
blessed.
I figured you were going to touch on Hawaii this evening. I listened to Alex Jones earlier today, and he was talking about the starting of the fires. The way it started, they didn't
Hold
cut
up.
as he
Hold
mentioned,
up. Allegedly.
they didn't cut the bushes.
Allegedly.
Right. Well, allegedly. And he
Allegedly.
mentioned, he said,
Check it out. You heard it through the grapevine. You don't have to put any particular man on it, but this guy named Alex said,
okay.
allegedly what?
Well, I heard his broadcast. He made mention of the fact that the brush was not cut, that the winds were blowing trees. Trees would knock down power lines. When they knock down power lines, they're going to hit the dry brush because it was dry there. And on top of that, they cut off the water. I guess when he said they cut off the water, I don't know if he meant the water in people's homes or if he was talking about the water in the fire hydrants or whatever. But he said they cut off the water, and then they blocked the roads. People couldn't get off the roads to get to the airport. I know some people just went out and stood in the ocean to avoid the fire to save their lives and so forth and like that. And my first thought was like, oh, this is on the island of, it's in Hawaii. That's where our brothers Nepali live, So I figured it was, I think this was another attack it's gone from black people it's gone from Judah, Benjamin, and Levi to Naphtali now.
Yeah, Naphtali is under attack. Yeah.
Right. All of us are on the tribe, and, they're attacking first this tribe and then that tribe, and so whatever and so forth. But now I have one question. I was talking with a friend, a sister of a friend. Now, the friend that I had, she came into the truth and she embraced it right away when I turned her on to your videos and told her who we really were. But now it's her sister that's the problem. And I was talking with her sister today because I was kind of ask her when it was basically yesterday, because I called her. She's a flight attendant, and she quite often flies into Hawaii. I hadn't talked to her for a few days. I was trying to find out if she had a trip to Hawaii and if she was over there where the fires were, and I was called her sister. But her sister said no, that she had talked to another sister and that she was fine, she was okay. But anyway, I had it came up in your videos, and your name came up, and I was talking to her sister, and sister said, "Well, yeah, okay, well, I watched your videos, and okay, well, he might know what's all going on in the world." But, and then she brought on the thing about how you didn't touch on bringing salvation and how this and that, and other people that said that you didn't touch on that. I said, well, basically, getting closer to God and touching is just basically do what God said. He said, if you love him, you obey his laws. I said, just obey his laws. That's the way to get closer to God. And I don't know if that was the right answer, or is there any other thing else that I can tell her that she wants to know, because I guess she wants to hear all this bull excrement that these Christian churches would say in their sermons and everything like that. And I guess that's what she's wanting to hear, all of that. But I knew of no other way to tell her than, follow God's laws. That's the only way to get close to him. Do you have any other comment on that as to what I told her?
Yeah. Usually when people say, well, I'm listening to a lot of information he's bringing forth, but I don't feel or hear salvation. I've heard that many days, but their example of salvation is a doctrinal theater they're used to filling or seeing in a Christian church. Because when you ask them in particular, give me an example of what you're talking about, this salvation piece that you're not receiving here, they could never give an example. I've tried it. Salvation means to be saved. Christ, it tells us in the Bible, Hosea 4:6 states, my people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. So if you don't know what's going on, how can you be saved? If we're showing you the tactics of the enemy who's conspiring against you secretly to destroy you, and through that, you choose not to participate in your own demise, isn't that salvation? When if you would have done what they told you to do, you would have died. So I think that what they're looking for is that brand of delivery they're used to in the Christian church. They have been programmed to believe that's salvation. And see, when you put it on the table and let them know, no, salvation actually means save, to be saved. And then you give them an example of that. All the salvation that's going on almost every corner in our ghettos right now and in our Christian churches, they're teaching salvation. And ask them, is that the salvation y'all talking about? Well, what about our children who are dying in number in that community? So what good is that brand if our children and family don't stay together and we aren't getting saved from the enemy in our communities? So what you have to break down is the word salvation means to be saved. If the preachers were really teaching salvation, then more of our people would live in the community. There wouldn't be black on black crime. There wouldn't be people killing each other, separated families. So there is no salvation getting taught in our communities. They've been programmed to have a warped understanding of what salvation means. It's more so a feeling for them. I don't feel you preaching like I'm used to. Your delivery isn't what I've come accustomed to understand as salvation. Now, there's another thing I wanted to pull out. Right?
Okay.
Let me get this for you. Let me get this for you. 1 second. I'm going to pull it up here.
Okay.
Let me get it. Hold on. And I need you to listen to this real quick, sister. And you can pull this scripture out for her when you get the opportunity.
Okay.
And this is Christ. And you always use Christ's teachings to answer questions like that when they say, well, I looked at his videos and I didn't see salvation. Well, Christ told this woman, this Samaritan woman, who was worshiping incorrectly here. Yeshua said unto her, woman, believe me, the hour cometh when ye shall neither in this mountain nor yet at Jerusalem worship the Father. Ye worship, you know not what we worship, for salvation is of the Jews. Which means it was the Israelites under Christ bringing salvation, the true salvation for the world. So she don't know what she's worshiping, your friend, as this Samaritan woman thought that her worship was right. So she has a warped understanding of what salvation means according to Christ. Salvation is of us. When I'm teaching the word according to prophecy, that's salvation. She just have to be what?
Oh, okay.
She have to be retaught. She have to learn again. She won't be hooping and hollering like that guy I just showed you on the screen out of his mind, misrepresenting the book. She would look at that and say, now that's salvation. But she worship and know not what. So it's not her fault. What she's looking for, she'll never get. if she's expecting anything that she's become accustomed to learning in the church. But if she want truth, if she keep listening, she'll receive it. She'll receive true salvation.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay. Okay, great. I can bring it. That's a good idea. I can bring that point right to her next time I talk to her.
Yes. Because make sure you ask her, give me an example of this salvation you're talking about that you haven't received. And I already know how it's going to go. She's not going to be able to give an example because it's more an emotion. She don't feel what she's used to like I'm not triggering her emotions like in the church.
Right.
I'm not triggering those
Like in the
and pandering to her
in
emotions.
the Christian
Exactly.
church.
That's salvation for them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Salvation is what the
Okay.
preacher would do, and then say, "Come on in here," like the government say, and take the Jim Jones
Take
juice.
poison.
Take the Jim Jones juice. Okay, and you'll be saved. You'll see you'll see your Jesus sooner than you think. All right, thank you, sister.
Yeah.
I appreciate
Okay.
it.
Thank you very much for that
All right.
information. Thank you very much.
You're
Okay.
welcome. You're welcome.
Okay.
Hey, come take the juice and get your wings early. All right. 910 area code. That's Lalani.
Shalom, Elder.
Lalani from
My name is
Hawaii.
Liz.
Oh, we have someone on the ground from
Yes.
Hawaii. Talk to me, sister. Bless you.
Actually, my family is in Hawaii.
Your
I live
family's
in
in Hawaii.
Florida now,
Okay, what's going on
but
in
I'm
Hawaii right now?
originally from Hawaii. Originally from Hawaii.
And
And
what are they
I
telling
wanted
you
to
then?
know
What are they
I
telling
can
you?
say and can't say
Okay.
because I don't.
Okay.
I don't want to say the wrong thing because a lot of people that my family said that they have talked to, their information has been flagged and blah 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 blah. So I don't want to say the wrong thing.
Okay, well let me
Because,
let me
you know-
direct it. Let me direct it and ask you a few questions.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, you say your family tried to relay to those outside of Hawaii what they are experiencing, what's really going on there, and by doing so,
Correct.
they were flagged. They were flagged from what platforms?
Their cell phones were cut off. Their communication with the family was cut off. They weren't. No, a lot of people have seen it on TikTok and whatnot, with all that garbage that's on there, saying, that they were. Some of it is true, some of it isn't.
Well, let me ask you
the
this.
stuff that's
Let me ask you
true-
this. Your
Go
family
ahead.
who's in Hawaii are saying, well, do they suspect or have witnessed something sinister that isn't getting reported on the news?
A lot's been reported,
No,
and it's not getting through.
no. What I'm
Yeah.
asking you, are
But
they
you just
saying
said-
from their view that there's something sinister
Yes,
outside of
Yes.
what the news is saying?
yes.
Okay. Now, where are your family? Are they in Maui? Where are they?
I have 42 adult cousins that are missing in Maui.
Oh my
I have
goodness.
32 of their children is missing also
So you have
on Maui.
So you have just in your family alone, there's almost 100 people missing.
It's almost 100. I
So
would say maybe close to 200.
What I'm-
And
what
the
I'm-
reason is
what I'm saying,
you know,
sister, if
we-
you have
we-
these number of people missing from your family, how does that relate
Yes.
to the 99 they're reporting is missing? If you have more than that, when you have almost more than that missing from your family alone, if that's what you're telling me, you're allowed to tell me how many people of your family is missing. Okay, that's not. That's your family. Okay.
The reason is, I'll let you speak first. I'm sorry.
I know there's a delay here. There's a delay in between. But what I'm
Oh,
saying,
okay.
what I'm saying is the report we're getting is less than 100. You're saying by yourself
No, it's more
alone,
than that.
your
It's
family,
more than
your
that.
family alone is upward more than 100, right?
Yes.
So what do you think they're doing over there? What do your what better yet,
There.
what are your family telling you they're doing over there?
Okay. My cousin that lives on the island of Kauai
Yeah.
has reported to me, which, um, I mean, if I go in the whole genealogical, it'll be confusing, but reported to me that the media is not reporting how much exactly. They're giving a rough estimate because they don't want a particular group that went in there to bring cadaver dogs to assert the place.
To bring the what?
And cadaver, cadaver dogs, I'm sorry, my accent, cadaver dogs in to count the amount of body counts.
Oh.
But from what my cousin was saying, that the actual number is not what the media knows or does not want to report.
Okay, so it could be. Let's just do it for the sake of
Mm-hmm.
for the sake of I would say let's be even kill here. Like let's say
Okay.
okay, maybe from their perspective those counts haven't been put in yet, that they haven't actually put out the actual count because a lot of things haven't have been solidified as far as the identifying people and all the other processes. Let's just say that there's a process that they probably didn't take yet, but based on what your family is saying, that they're not getting the numbers correctly because there's more people dead that your family are dead, not dead, but missing that haven't been
Yeah.
that haven't been found yet, right?
Yes.
That's number one. That's good. Go.
For
When I'm saying that's good, I want to put it
for
that way so that we're not being accusatory.
okay.
Because really,
Okay.
you
Okay.
can't say someone is dead that's missing.
Mm-hmm.
You can suspect that something is
Uh,
happening there. 300 people we haven't heard from in days. They've blocked
mhm.
off. They've blocked the roads for whatever reason, but there's a possibility, and I hope that these people are still living. Right?
Yeah.
All right. So
Another thing, I've had family members that are in the National Guard went looking for family members, and the location where they supposed to have been is burnt to the ground.
So then we have to ask.
And
Then there's other questions that
yes.
usually we must ask, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like in the midst of what that event that happened over there in Haiti, there was reports on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the Clinton Foundations and the others were there, and there was reports on
Yeah.
the ground that during the time of the earthquake, it was reported that a lot of children were being escorted by these groups separate from their parents and never to be heard from again. That was something that was
Yeah.
happening under the guise of the earthquake. That in the midst of these things, people go missing, and those missing usually get unreported.
Another thing too is we know for a fact that the what we call the keikis, which is the little kids, were at home
Okay.
because they were shuttled home from school because of the high winds, what they call trade winds. Being my voice is a little shaky because I'm a little upset, but
I'm sorry about that.
being
I'll pray that I pray that your family is found and they make it through this. But go on.
but the reason why I know the process of that because I've been there. And the
Okay.
process of that, when the winds are trade winds, if anybody in Hawaii know, trade winds do not get up more than 35 to 55 in wind gusts.
Okay.
They reported it was the hurricane out in the ocean that caused all this. That was the hearsay. That's what's on the internet. Now, what my family has said that works with somewhat the government, somewhat the police, somewhat, they all have jobs there. Everything is surrounded by water. I was known as a kid that the weather alarm systems that they have there, for a fact, would go off every first of the month as a test to prove that the machine is working properly.
Okay.
And I also was notified by my family that certain type of utilities were shut off. And that's fact.
Okay, so this was out of the ordinary for those who are used to emergency scenarios like this. This was something else that even they pinpointed was some level of with some level of skepticism. That hold up, this is different.
Yeah.
This isn't what we're used to living here all these years. My family been living here. Usually in an emergency, certain horns go off that warns us to do this, that, and the other.
Correct.
So nothing worked like your family were used to working
Correct.
in the event of a disaster. And don't forget, Hawaii,
Yes.
sister, is an actual military base type of place. It's strategic for America in of itself. And when you look at Pearl Harbor and all these things, Hawaii always had a strategic political play between this side of the Pacific and that side of the Pacific, right? But before you go, and I'm gonna let you have the last word. Maybe Oprah can give us some insight to what's going on there. It says here, if you can trust this woman, Oprah Winfrey buys another 870 acres of land, coincidentally in Hawaii, as of March 7th, 2023. And don't forget, this was the same woman who wanted to help our sisters in schools in Africa, saying they get into school for young girls who are underprivileged, only to have what? Only to have a scandal where there was reports of some loose hands amongst some of the elite, as if this school was a key component when it comes to, the elite and young girls, and using her as a front person for that. And eventually the story went away that these girls were reporting some uncomely sexual behavior that was going on with adults. Let me put it that way. And Oprah Winfrey she was under that scandal and it went away. Now, March 7th, here we go again. 870 acres of land, and you would never guess, sister, who's there to help the poor underprivileged people who are suffering a disaster in Hawaii. You would never guess. Oprah tells HNN she'll be with the Maui recovery efforts for the long haul. This is the woman who also introduced the Hawaiian Barack Obama to the world too. Or she was a front person that was used. They loaned her the couch. It was probably the synagogue of Satan who's using her as a prop. So, she got 870 acres, and now they have her there saying that she's going to be there through the thick and thin to make sure Hawaii is built back right. And isn't Oprah from Chicago?
Yes.
Yeah. So all that money that she has, living in the midst of getting public acclaim from the midst of Chirac. None of that money could go towards sisters who needed school in Chicago. Why didn't she put any money to stop the gangs and 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 actually develop job opportunities for her people in Chicago who would have probably been better off than shooting each other, surviving for the little change our people are fighting to divide in the cities through the drug game. But here she is.
I agree.
The same woman that didn't help Chicago is in Maui. Now, only thing I need to do now is it won't be too long before we hear of the Clintons probably and the Obamas coming out behind her to help the rebuild efforts. Keep your eyes on this, folks, because this might be what? This might be a playbook for what they'll do within a few cities soon. It might not be a fire, but if there's a disaster, they'll already have the model to build back better. New World Order, anyone? Sister, you have the last word. And again, we're going to put out a prayer that your family make it through this and, and that your family, all of them are found unharmed. And we'll make sure, I'm going to ask the members out there, people out there, make sure you pray for the sister's family because something isn't right over in Hawaii. And I pray for my brothers and sisters that are in the military, that are out there, that's a serious military base, and the brothers, and on top of that, my Naphtali brothers and sisters over there, we pray. We know they're looking to destroy you over there too. We pray for your safety throughout all of this. Someone says Oprah is from Mississippi. Okay. No, I'm talking about, I think her broadcast was live from Chicago, though. But wherever she's from, why didn't she do a school for our people in Mississippi then? Why didn't she's a multi-billionaire, right? Why isn't she creating opportunity for her own people? But go on, sister. It won't be too long before, like they do with all their toys. They'll use their toys until they can no longer use them, then they'll break them. So it won't be too long before we're hearing something soon. If she don't toe the line.
True.
But we all know it's the synagogue of Satan behind her. But go ahead. I'll hear what you have to say. You have the last word.
As far as Miss Oprah, she has not 870 acres. She has 1,000.
She has 1,000 acres.
1,000 acres.
For what?
Which is north of Lahaina. And she made a comment, and it's in the news feed somewhere. I've seen it on TikTok. Complaining, and I've heard from families that she was complaining about the view that Lahaina is taking up. Lahaina is historical. It's from the royal Alihis that founded the land. That was the first time that the Europeans' land was on Maui.
The best
There's also, if people are interested, they can look up Hawaiiana, which is our Hawaiian history. This is not the first time that our government has turned the people away. We had Hurricane Iniki hit us on Kauai, which is the island I'm from. We had no help for a total of 9 months. And they reported that the military came in and helped us. The military didn't come in until the 8th month. Well, the first few months, the local people were helping each other to rebuild. And these are facts.
Well, let me do this,
Our
sister. Let me do this, sister, because I have to take more calls.
Sorry.
But
I know you got other people. I'm sorry.
I'll take down your phone number. I'll make sure I keep it here.
Yes, sir.
And what we'll do is I'll stay in contact with you, so that you can continually give us reports on what's going on with your family as they as they update you on a daily basis. Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
All right.
And I have one more thing, and then I'll
Sister,
hang up.
I really have to
Another
go, sister.
thing.
I kept you on for a while, but I'll give you all but 30 seconds.
Okay, I'm sorry. But I appreciate the prayers and everything, and Tawada, and I pray that everybody else will be safe and never underestimate your surroundings.
Thank you, sister. I appreciate it. All right. Bless you.
Shalom.
Shalom. And now I have someone that we can actually give some live reports if someone is found or her family members reach out, some of them who might be missing right now. And I pray that nothing is wrong with any of her family. I pray for their safety. I'll actually reach out to the sisters so that if anyone that's over there that's found, we can actually report that live from here. So, sister, just hold tight. We'll be waiting for your call. And we need to see whether or not who Oprah be hanging with. All right. Oprah and Melinda Gates on Sunday Soul, Super Soul Sunday. And she don't even believe in Christ. She always used this Sunday thing. Right? She used this Sunday thing to actually cloak herself as a quasi-Christian. And who was she sitting down with?
Sunday, Oprah with author and philanthropist Melinda Gates, finding her values, the responsibility of wealth, and bettering the world.
If we can stand up for what's right, the world.
Oh, she's going to better the world. Let me see what children that's behind her.
Bettering the world.
Oh, look at this. She really want to help our children in Africa. But you have to have your what? You have to have your front piece to get to our people.
Sunday, Oprah with author and philanthropist Melinda Gates, finding her values, the responsibility of wealth, and bettering the world.
If we can stand up for what's right, the world will shine.
Super Soul Sunday, 11 a.m.
Super Soul Sunday, own. Yeah, let's talk with Oprah so we can help the underprivileged black children and give them all the health care they need. Okay? Nice and healthy Africans we want. And if we do a really good job with reproduction and stuff and the jab, we can get that number as close to zero as possible. And by the way, I just released some mosquitoes out there that, we worked on to help out, to help out the world, Yeah. And I need y'all to check out how these Satanists operate, folks. They listen to the music. Listen to this. The trust in music.
Sunday, Oprah with author and philanthropist Melinda Gates, finding her values, the responsibility of wealth, and bettering the world.
If we can stand up for what.
Bettering the world, and there's some black people here. And bettering the world, helping the underprivileged. We're going to get you healthy, nice and healthy. Because we love Africans.
We can stand up for what's.
And Mammy's going to help us.
Right, the world will shine.
Super Soul Sunday, 11 a.m., 10 Central.
Super Soul Sunday. And Mammy's going to help us. Uh-huh. Samuel has a comment and a question.
Shalom, Elder. So they always come with the subtlety, huh?
Yeah. It's let me tell you, this Mammy mode works every time. I don't care how much money you put behind it. From the plantations to the corporations. The Mammy zone, the Mammy mold work with our people over and over again. It's just that Mammy. It works. But the floor is yours.
I want to just say double honors to you and the rest of the elders of the Gathering Christ Church. This ministry truly touched my life. I'm grateful for it. And when you spoke of the brother from the Philly body, that looked you in your eyes and, you know, just thanked you for the ministry and for the work that you do. You know, I think that our testimonies of how we got here, you know, I know that Christ called me to the Gathering of Christ Church. Christ called me to this work. He called me into the vineyard. I understand that. I understood that before because I was seeking, you know. The Bible says in Matthew 6:33, seek ye first the kingdom of heaven and all its his righteousness, and it shall be added unto you. You know, so the fervent ones and the ones that really came to this for the kingdom, you know, we're going to be able to endure, but that's going to come with much trial and much heresy, much division, much having to fight within, because we're Israelites after the inward man and not the outward. So those that are true Israelites, they're after the inward man, and that's a battle that all of us are trying to wage in these last days. Is that war on ourselves, to perfect ourselves and be a sacrifice for Christ, you know. But the testimonies that come with our prior life on how Christ brought us to this point and brought us to this church, I think is monumental on bonding with brethren in the body. I think that it's monumental with building a kingdom, because in those 70 in second address in the pseudepigrapha that was taken out, one thing that you'll experience in torment is how Ahia was there the whole time in all your decisions makings, and you denied it, you know. So we can use our past to.
I'm sorry about that. I'm I'm trying to pull something up. Go ahead. I'm listening. Go ahead.
But we must move forward, and I think that if you had another day or another broadcast that could just pull in some of the 10-year body members or some of the brothers and sisters that have been in the body for some time and get their perspective on how they got to this truth and how they got to this church and the battles that they've went through in the church and the battles that they're still going through to stay fervent on the calling that Christ called them to. I think that would strengthen the body, Elder. I think that the people on the outside looking in wouldn't have much to say in regards to that, because the proof is in the pudding with people's testimonies.
Brother, we'll do the testimonies, but what I've learned, people are going to always have something to say.
Right. And that's true.
But I understand what you're saying. I understand what you're saying.
You know, I know that it's strengthening to hear people's testimonies, and even with this broadcast in itself, it does it.
Absolutely, my brother. It's strengthened. It's strengthened brothers and sisters, and it mortifies. You know, it builds the foundation of our brothers and sisters who sometimes need that extra testimony to have them go and go another day and respect the spirit the Most High have done in this work. But I love to think what you're saying in particular. I like the fact that you're more so speaking of encouragement, and and even every time you come on the line, brother, there's encouragement, not discouragement. And what I find that some people only have something to say when it's discouraging, right? To discourage other people, Debbie Downers and others. So, but brother, you're right. We should have a lot of people come on and give their testimonies to actually, and we've done that before. If not for any reason at all, to strengthen others who may be going presently through some of their same trials. So you know what? I'm going to look into that, brother. Absolutely.
Praise the Most High. Can I ask one more question?
Yes, go on.
Is in the book of Jasher, the 66th chapter, and the verse 15? Is that the same Job that is in the Bible?
Say that
I
again.
can read it if you need.
Say that again.
So is the Job in chapter 66
This
of
is your
the book of Jasher? Is that the same Job that's in the Bible?
No.
No. Okay.
No, that's a different Job.
Okay, Con.
All right.
That's all. That's
If
all
you
I
want to, you
yield,
can
y'all.
read it. You
Bless
can read.
Elder.
You can read. You can go ahead and read it, and I can show you.
Okay, Con.
You're talking about Jobab?
It says Job.
Go ahead, read it.
From it says here, Book of Jasher, chapter 66 and verse 15. And an officer, one of the king's counselors, whose name was Job, from Mesopotamia in the land of Uz, answered the king, saying, If it please the king, let him hear the counsel of his servant. And the king said unto him, Speak. I don't want to go into the rest of it, but I mean, unless you would like me to. But
okay, because it says from the land of Uz. That was a different time period when you look at it. But what I'll do is I'll write that down. Chapter and verse?
Chapter 66 of the book of Jasher, verse 15.
66 and 15. I looked at that first, and there was a conflict in the time period for that. But I'm going to look at it again, and I'll give you an answer by Friday, okay?
Okay, Con.
All right, thank you. It's been a while since I've addressed that, so I'm going to look at it because I don't want to give you the wrong answer. But as far as I looked at it, because I did a Jasher timeline that I have, I'm still finishing, and it didn't fit the timeline. So, all right. So I'm going to look at it right after this, and I'll give you an answer Friday. All right.
All right. The water.
My brother.
Shalom,
right.
brother.
Shalom. Now, when I did this, let me show y'all something real quick, folks. When I told people that they've always used the same mold against us. This is what I meant. I'm going to show you what I mean. The same program they utilize. What I would like to call this is, and it works on our people, the mold. And it's a concept that have always been used through Hollywood. It's the mammy concept, right? Going with the wind. And you got the mammy concept where you have what? The model, the idea of beauty through Hollywood. The stereotypical woman or the white woman. How racist stereotypes still impact women. You would always have the mammy seek to do what? Do the bidding for her. She's doing the bidding for her man. But this is the prototypical stereotype that have been shaped through slavery and others to keep what? The community, our community, in check. See? Wanted to show that real quick. And then we have what? Same concept, different time period. So I would really want to look into some of the front companies or the companies that are operating with Oprah and who's behind some of these companies with her name purchasing all of this land. Because I don't know if they will to let her, really get it jumping off like that. But I'm going to show you the modern day concept, which is the same thing. As things change, they stay the same. Same thing. The world will shine right? Wanted to show you that. And we're going to go into some of those stereotypes for the women and the men to see how they have typecast us into a destructive mindset, a perpetual will of degradation, using the same concept since slavery. I'm going to go into that probably next Wednesday. And the mammy typecast mold works more so than anything else. Interesting, right? Interesting. Everything you're saying is quite interesting. See? The theater. Interesting. I'm going to go into that. The mammy mold. Oh yeah, we're going to get to step and fetching too. That's the other thing that they still utilize. Mammy and step and fetching. Samuel, I already had Samuel on. We have two more, and then that will actually end our broadcast for this evening. Nicole has a question.
Shalom, Elder. How are you tonight?
What you say?
Can you hear me?
Oh, I'm
How
doing
are
well.
you tonight?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Listen, I tell you, so much that has come to mind since I first called that I do have a question, but I did want to comment on the the minister that you had who was speaking, and I noticed the rise of the effeminate man in the pulpit that is taking place in the black churches, and how they are always kind of the biggest advocate for women's empowerment. And even like when what was his name, William McDowell, I think the guy, he's a singer, he's a pastor too, which I don't know why, but he, when Roe v. Wade was reversed last summer, he had T-shirts on. All the choir members, everybody they had T-shirts on in protest of that reversal. And he's a Christian singer and pastor. I didn't know he was a pastor though, but I'm just telling you to see the rise of the effeminate man, because I know that we've had a generation of men who have been raised by the black feminist woman, and we're seeing the result of that. But it's funny because it's really proving out how we become what we see. The image of the Caesar Borgia Christ is really coming to full manifestation in the church, because everything that he was, the church has become, and that is effeminate, and that is, he was also a mobster. He was a criminal, a mass murderer. He was in incest with his sister Lucretia, and he he has at least 11 illegitimate kids, and all of those are all characteristics of what we see in the church. And so it's just funny how you can just pull up sermon after sermon on YouTube or whatever and see this push and advocacy for black feminism in the church. And I know the reasons behind that, but it's I know it's prophecy fulfilled. But churches just become just TED Talks and entertainment venues now. Everybody got the big screens now since the pandemic. The little LED screens in the background for all of the visual effects and the special lighting. All these things are taking place, and they look like this little small TED Talks now,
motivational speakers. That's it. Let me ask you this, sister. Let me ask you this, because this is what I'm curious about, right? When I was growing up, at least the church was it benefited the community, because what? There was more even though there was always more women and men than church. The disparity weren't so grave like we see today between men and women in a church. Usually, a woman was in the church because you was going to find a man eventually that you could marry. But I'm curious to
Right.
know from
Even
your
if it was the
standpoint,
pastor.
as a woman, from your viewpoint, if the church is filled with nothing but women, are they going there to actually find a husband anymore, or it's just a hangout for women? Because the men aren't there.
Well, I think women have so many women have resolved that they're not going to get married. I have a daughter-in-law now who said that she really, she was at the time when she met my son, she was getting her master's degree, and when we talked one day, she said she just really didn't think that she would ever was going to get married. So I think a lot of women have resolved that they're going to be alone, and it's just a place. Church is not a place for instruction anymore. It's a place for inspiration, and you have some few euphoric moments that just kind of get you through. I guess a feel good moment just to get you through the week or get you through a few days.
Okay.
It's not at all a place where people want to be instructed or to be rebuked or to be and black women you can't there's no reproach. You cannot
So it's
cannot
more
tell
so
them that they did something wrong.
what you're saying is more so moral support others who are in the same circumstances as them, and it's them comforting one another more so than anything through that.
Exactly. And
but
then
it is.
and you have
but
women
I have to say this. It is a shame. It is a shame.
Yeah.
It is a shame.
It is. I
yeah.
have a good husband, and I'm thankful for him. But I tell you, I would wish that all of the women that I know could have a good husband, just the experience of being taken care of. But I have nieces who are beautiful and have advanced degrees and things like that, and they are in their 40s. All of a sudden, they look up one day and they're 40 and they aren't married, and it's heartbreaking. And
listen, let me answer.
Heartbreaking.
It is. Sister. I'm going to place you on hold because I got to answer this question. And please don't take any those who have objective views out of the chat. It's okay. The question is deceiving. No, it wasn't deceiving. That was an honest question I had. That's an honest question. From a woman's perspective, I wanted to know because men and women have two separate views on things. And I wanted to know, since we were talking about this, the sister brought it up, that I wanted to talk about the church and how there's a bunch of women in there. At one time, women were going to the church to find good men. But there is no men in the church like it used to be when I was coming up. So they must be there for other purposes. Okay, and I that was an honest question I was asking. Okay. Let's see. Sunshine. Hold up, Sunshine. I'm gonna bring you in. Hold tight. Hi. Hold tight. I need you to really step in and just give it to us. Not too long. Don't give me 3 minutes of hello, okay? I'm gonna bring you in. All right. I'm gonna bring you in. Hold tight now. All right. But before we go, right? Someone is saying about the degrees and all that, but I think our sisters, even though they've accomplished so much, some of our women who were just given the direction of college and masters and degrees, I don't think our sisters knew back then that it was going to be a trade-off. That how much they was going to lose in exchange for the success that comes, or not just the success, but the degree itself. How much time would be utilized that would take away from them actually enjoying life as what? As a wife to a husband. I didn't think they understood. They thought that they could do it all, the degree and everything, and then a man will be waiting at the end of it. I think that society lied to our women when it comes to that piece in of itself. That the priority would be, let me get the degree and all that, and after I achieve this, that there's going to be a man at the end of it, not realizing that the prime time for a woman to actually get that husband and have children is the same time they actually sacrifice for school. And that's unfortunate. That piece is unfortunate. Let's see. Go ahead, Sunshine. Go.
Hello?
Yes.
Hello? Hello? Elder, can you hear me?
Floor is yours.
Hello? Okay. Oh, Shalom, Elder. Oh,
Shalom.
okay. Elder. Hi, Elder. Okay. Wow. Many say they love Christ, but they hate Christ because of the majority, that are doing the exactly what they want to do, regardless of what the word says to do. So there is, as Christ mentioned, with those who come in His name but are not for His turn, a worldwide, new whole world nation of hypocrites, thieves, and blasphemers. And the hypocrites who are indeed haters of Christ appeal in all their areas of our lives, so that this hypocrisy that they tote in their full-fledged disobedience and false pride against the Creator has become like interwoven and pervasive and progressive, filling up every nook and cranny of our lives in full attack to stifle out the life and light of the righteous, wearing out the saints, causing the confusions through the bio and weather mod wars and social wars and depravity, poverty, lack of access to bare necessities, contentions due to so many strange and unrighteous choices that they have, like media, nurtured in our communities, especially in all communities, and coerced in the weak among us, who really rely on the help and arm of the strong. So in droves, many have waxed cold and getting colder as prophesied. Many have become heretical amongst us, and all amount to the same. The repeat offenders of Judases are exposed day and night from their pulpits by the truth, but are falsely covered with tokens of public performances, of philanthropy, or ongoing temporary worldly appreciations, and act of as if they're untouchable in their growing unbelief because their sins are mountain and have not yet been rewarded by judgment. But it's poignant and so clear that prophecy is right before our very eyes, that the Bible is true, and Christ comes in the volume of the book, whether people like our Savior or not. He is the Alpha and Omega, the Alpha and there from the beginning, and what He has experienced with Judas is what the prey who follows and loves Him, actually truly loves Him, will experience. For a servant is not more worthy than his master. And they hated and still hate Christ, our Lord and Savior. So they will hate all those who love the truth, the way, the life. And by grace, we glory in tribulations, as it worketh our patience, experience, and hope onto our kingdom. And that's all I wanted to say, Elder. That's all I wanted to say.
Bless you, Sunshine. Good hearing from you. Great hearing from you. Bless you. All right. All praises be to the Most High. That concludes our show for this evening. Thank you for your participation, brothers and sisters throughout the four corners of the earth.
Goodbye.
I would like to say, someone said, well, I came here for scriptures. We did the scriptures earlier. Okay, leading into the podcast. You missed it. Just review this particular video and you'll have the scriptures and the frame of reference that connects to this title. Unfortunately, unfortunate for you, you missed that, but we started opening it up a little later afterwards to field regular questions and just give some insight of what was going on over in Hawaii. But all in all, it was a very productive conversation this evening. There's a silent war against our people. It's the devil against the children of God, and he's also against the Gentiles who believe in Christ. It's time for us to stand together against this silent war and say no. They have in the world participate. The world is participating in their own demise by walking blindly into a pit. With that, I'm Elder Rick Harshaw of the Gathering of Christ Church. We thank you for all your support. The Academy this week, Truth About Modern Day Christianity, and we're going to give the testimony of Christ's trial, those who were there. And guess what? Yeah, those that were there during Christ's birth also was there at the trial when Christ was given up to the Romans. That's right. And they have an account on how Christ's birth happened. And I'll bring that history and more this coming Sunday in the Academy. With that, I'm going to say shalom. May the Most High be with you. Stay prayed up. Sin not. We will soon see Israel. And yes, the enemy is attacking us, trying to come against us, But I'm going to tell you, brothers and sisters alike, never give up hope. We've all made error and was directed negatively coming up. All right? So when I bring certain things forth, whether it be a man or a woman, if there's someone the Most High have for you in the future, especially if you're serving him, man or woman, don't give up hope. The Most High can always have someone on the other end. Okay? And give man and woman, all of us, an opportunity to do what we couldn't do before learning this truth, before we had the wisdom to execute God's will. So again, brothers and sisters, doesn't matter the choices we made coming up, never give up hope. Okay? Never. There's always an opportunity. With that, I'm going to say shalom. May the Most High be with you. Stay prayed up, sin not. And keep in mind, the Most High is calling back the children of Israel. Shalom. I'm going to get me some rest.
It's a call, the Mexicans. A highest gathering in Israel. The Negroes, Benjamin, the West Indians, Levi, the Haitians. A highest gathering in Israel. Reuben from Australia, Issachar, the Mexicans. That's who we be. Judah, the Negroes, Benjamin, the West Indians, Levi, the Haitians, Manasseh, the Cubans, Ephraim from Puerto Rico, Naphtali from the Isles of Hawaii. The Lord is calling back Israel. Zebulon from Panama, Gad, the North American Indians, Simeon, the Dominicans. Our highest gathering